Welcome to the Sci-Fi Center, the place to be, where comic books and wrestling collide magically. Movies, TV shows, and pop culture we share. Get ready to rock, we're here to take you there. From superheroes to aliens in outer space, we've got the latest news and reviews in our embrace. Turn on your screen, let the neon lights glow. We'll take you back to the 80s. Let's rock and roll. Sci-Fi Center, where the legends come alive. Get ready to geek out, let your imagination fly. We're diving into the past with a touch of modern flair. Sci-Fi Center, the ultimate pop culture lair.
Salutations and welcome to Sunday. A lot of differences between our usual Sunday show. This is going to be a little bit more longer show, a little bit more topical show, and this version of it usually takes place on Saturday with those type of topics. And unlike previous or normally scheduled Sunday night live streams, this one is taking place with Sci-Fi Center because I had a lot to do here today. We had a lot of streaming stuff we got done. Some of it great, some of it awful. Then I had, like I said, I have a sale 4th of July weekend, holiday weekend. A lot of my tourists are coming in after the sun, which was 104 degrees today, went down a little bit. So we might have people coming through even now at 10:40 at night. So don't be surprised if I have to pause things and hand it over to Brad, who made this afternoon even more insufferable with his imitations and bad accents and dumb jokes. And
Alrighty then.
everything that was stupid about Ace Ventura, Brad made dumber today. So that was fun. But hey, reason why things like that were important is because of the support of it's a manifestation. Trying to talk of the support we get from the show. I couldn't have gone to Comic-Con last year without the support of our viewers. The year before, it was a little bit, the channel was like brand new and I didn't really do much. But as we try to increase what we do, as I try to connect this more to what we do in the store, like I said, the amount of coverage we were able to do, like getting out there, being able to get around and some of the stuff would not have happened. The kind of stuff that I plan to do this year with the offsite stuff, with the Hall H stuff, and everything I can get my claws into, would not be happening without what we were able to do as far as making it a lot easier to get out here. So yeah, the movie was awful. It's dreadful. It still is top 10, one of the worst movies I've ever seen. But the reason why we were doing it is cool, and I'm happy we were able to put that. And then we washed the bad taste out of my mouth with Flash Gordon, which is a classic.
Yeah, but it's not as good as Ace
It's like I said, Ace Ventura, nothing changes me. I'm happy that we achieved our goal, but Ace Ventura is an awful movie. I hope with the time Jim Carrey has left on this planet that he gets he gets the type of roles that I think could make him add another dimension. I mean, but like I said, I've always said if he just wants to be known for this, that's fine. I just can't believe that would be the case, but I don't know the guy. All right, tonight's topics are, well, we can say I've been putting this off for quite a couple of weeks now. Power Rangers is going to be, it's 30 years since the premiere of Power Rangers, which actually premiered in the springtime, but ran through to summertime, and they got more episodes. But 30 years. since the Power Rangers premiered. There have been, new movies and other versions of Power Rangers. I don't think many of them are that good, but I'm not a hardcore Power Ranger guy. I'm an originalist
too.
What's up?
There's one that's upcoming too. The Legend of White Dragon.
Yeah, which technically is not, but it's by many fans it's going to be held very closely because of who's in it and what he meant to that community. In fact, people try to dispute me on this. I don't think that Power Rangers is as strong as it is today without Jason David Frank. I just don't think
100%. Yeah.
So people are like, no, I was independent. Yeah, you may have been a hardcore lifer, but everything fades. G.I. Joe. Transformers was dead until those movies came back, and then died again, and then came back again. I don't believe that the Power Rangers core stays at that level for all those interim years without him.
100%.
He was always willing to jump in there just when you thought it was like maybe it's time to put the Power Ranger toy away for a while. Here he comes with a different iteration, or he's the anchor of it, and people related to him. He was the most popular thing about the first season. So for some reason, the Green Ranger that was not in the majority of that first season ended up being one of the most popular, if not the most popular.
I started on Power Rangers pretty much as soon as it started airing, it's like it got me in. Like I came for what they the team and everything they and the monsters and the martial arts and the superhero stuff. I came for that, and I stayed for Jason David Frank. Like he absolutely, it's like once Tommy was there, it's like I wasn't going anywhere with Power Rangers. It's like I could not agree with William more. Like that Jason David Frank was indispensable to the long-term popularity of Power Rangers. I mean, that's just, I don't know how anybody could possibly argue otherwise.
I was a 20. What I would, on the one end, I can't say Power Rangers was aimed for me because I was a grown man when it first came on air, but it was. And the reason why, you don't get Power Rangers without the popularity of Voltron, Gatchaman, Battle of the Planets, all those things that came up. If you look at the history of those types of cartoons that I was watching as a 6-year-old, 7-year-old, you don't really I draw the direct lineage back to those those things, and so did Bandai. So especially Robotech, all that kind of stuff was really linked, and that is what they were aiming towards American audiences. A decade, actually 15 years before there was Power Rangers, there was those things. You can kind of see the correlation. If you can't see the correlation between the Voltron and Power Rangers, I'm sorry, my eyesight is bad, but yours has got to be right. So the color scheme that started. If you watch Gatchaman, and I'll bring over when we get into the topics. I'll bring over some of that stuff so that you can see the correlation. So it's not just the 30 years that Power Rangers was. It's Power Rangers, in my opinion, was the culmination of Voltron, Gatchaman. But all these things that was really building up, and it is finally all clicked. And that's why I think Power Rangers appealed to grown people and kids, because it literally was like watching if Voltron had been live action. So we'll get into that. We'll also get in. Listen, Black Sabbath has left the stage. They've said this about 35,000 times that no more tours. But if you saw Ozzy performing this last show, yeah. It's time. Life has been hard on him. He did the entire performance from a nice kick-ass Stone, by the way. And for those people who got to be there for that, it was a legendary moment. Also, I'm going to go ahead and jump. I'm going to hit the chat first to say hi to you guys. Something I was not planning on. I wasn't planning on talking about. I haven't watched Rick and Morty in quite a while.
Yeah, we got a very impromptu topic this evening. Pretty much right after we finished up the Flash Jordan watch party.
Actually, later than that for me, because I was watching Phil.
Oh yeah.
I was watching Phil's show, and one of the guys on his screen started busting up laughing, and then they showed it, and I'm like,
and as I saw, like Max covered it, and this is definitely getting a lot of discussion. That RJ was actually talking a bit about on Max's show a little bit too, as I told William, because I DM'd this to William pretty much. I DM'd to a bunch of people as soon as I saw this. So I don't know, you want to go right to that, or you want to like?
Yeah, let's say hi to the chat and then we'll roll in right. Because like I said, I had to make room on my thumbnail. If you notice, my thumbnail's a little uneven because I didn't know about it. It'd already been made. Oh, by the way, I always thank you guys for your support of the channel, both watching and monetarily. Like I said, if you can continue to support the channel, there you go. Don't send the super chat. Send the super chat after I get back in Comic-Con, because I'm literally going to be your guys' avatar down there. I'm gonna do a lot of live stuff there. So I've got some equipment I'm getting, because this is the one thing that killed my last two Comic-Cons, is I'm doing this shit. And with the microphone this week, and since I'm not going to look strange, because everybody down there is going to be streaming and doing all that stuff with their little sticks and all that. So I'm actually getting a setup that'll allow me to look dignified when I'm down there covering things live. We're going to be walking the gas lamp district. Wow, I don't know why the fuck I can't talk. I think it's Ace Ventura. Fucked up my vocabulary today. But we're going to be going through the gas lamp. I've already told you guys. I got the map. I got the emails today with all the stuff that you can get into. Some of the stuff is sold out. Like the Paramount Hunt is sold out. There's people trying to sell tickets to it. I might try to get in there. But the Dexter thing, if they bring that back, I want to be there. But there's a lot of stuff that's not even on the program that if you just walk around the gas lamp, if the Starbucks we went into last year, they were dressed up as superhero. I mean, everybody's into it. So I'm gonna just stroll there. But yeah, so your support is gonna help just expand my horizons. We're gonna get a lot out of this 4 days, and I want it to be like, if you guys got a real time question and I'm in the middle of San Diego, I want to answer it. I want to have fun with it. If you guys are wanting me to go, if you see something online on Twitter or whatever, you say, hey, William, look what they're doing down there. Can you head down there? We're gonna head down there. That's what we're going to do. So if you want to support my adventure, there's mosquitoes in here. Where the fuck? And I killed 5 of them, and there's like 5 more. It's like, didn't you see your buddies die? Why are you coming at me still? And it's not even time for mosquito, is it? Man, maybe. I don't care. It's starting to get bit. Anyway, so yeah, we're gonna have a packed 4 days. So yeah, your support is going to help that. You know, I am going to sleep. Hey, great. Guess what? I've been on for 15 minutes. Guess what? I just got a notification that we're live. But anyway, so yeah, that's
go. Watch Jason terminate your calls.
What's up?
That's a notification saying you donated money, and now it's Jason terminate your calls.
Oh yeah, no, but yeah, there's the link. We're gonna be doing it this way because the super chats will not get to me in time. If you super chat me now, it's not going to get to me till August 22nd. So. Yep. By that time, we'll have starved to death. I'm just kidding. So yeah, and like I said, we'll continue to do stupid shit like Ace Ventura. I don't mind. doing. You want to do Nature's Call? We'll do it. We donate. We'll do it.
Oh, I do it for free. William,
I will not subject myself to that nonsense for free. So there you go. There's the link. All right. I'm going to start answering a couple of questions. Hopefully get caught up. Then we're going to go right into this thing. What's even the point of review embargoes? The Sunday Times. God damn it! The Sunday Times broke the Superman embargo, and I don't know.
Yeah,
I know I have to follow them, or I'll lose access.
I have to follow them. I have embargo stuff all the time, and I respect that. So I don't know what what's in the air where people are suddenly just saying screw it when it comes to embargoes on James Gunn Superman.
I haven't seen any other review other than the Daily Beast one, so I don't know how bad it is.
Well, we got like half. We got half. I was going there, and we got like half of one in that review of. You know, the Amazon movie. Why is the name escaping me? The one with John Cena, where it had like
some list or something.
And they have since, by the way, like how's it going? They have since altered that, saying it's like they removed Superman, saying it's like it's as silly as a superhero movie, kind of thing.
Some people just don't like superhero movies too, so you got to take.
Yeah, well, yeah, but I guess, I mean, I think like I don't even see the point of doing that because I mean, like that thing got screenshot and shared around social media already, so it's like the damage is already done.
It's not like they're going to say Sunday Times or whatever. If you're a big enough outlet, it ain't going to matter. They'll still give you access. William, as someone who hasn't seen Ace Ventura, did your second watch make a difference? It was worse. It was worse because when I saw it, I wasn't sitting anywhere near anybody that actually thought it was funny. It actually sucked to even the people that conned me and dragged me to see it didn't think it was funny. For some reason, Brad thought this was funny. We all have different sensibilities, different sense of humors. I don't know what one you could possess that would think that movie was not. It wasn't even good. The jokes are stupid. The buffoonery is stupid. The body humor is stupid. Everything about the movie was stupid, and it doesn't age well. Like I said today, it got dumber as I watched it. I got dumber for watching it. So no, it's this in many ways. This one was worse.
I would not have missed this for the
than
world,
last
guys.
one. Like I said, it's just I've seen a lot of dumb movies, so I can watch it. If this is a scary movie, Brad would have been like curled up in a ball on his bed. And,
Yeah,
with
those
his
are
hands over his
actually
eyes.
terrible on a level that's blood curdling.
Ace Ventura is on that is that level. It's lower. Than
No,
that.
Ace Ventura, no. Even if you don't like it, no, don't.
I'll answer this right now. The same reason why I think Ace Ventura is garbage. I'm not into that kind of humor.
Yeah, some people
so,
still like.
And it's not, and it didn't help that it's not a good movie. I'll give you. It had a disadvantage. It doesn't help that Ace Ventura is an absolute pile of heaping garbage as a movie. However, if I'm predispositioned not to like that kind of stuff anyway, then it's not going to ruin how good it could have been a classic. It could be a classic. I don't like those kind of movies, and that movie is stupid. And seeing that actor, who I think is a brilliant actor, be basically typecasted, it kind of sucks. But hey. Dude, you asked this before, and remember when I told you before? It's like the difference between shit and raw sewage. Which one do you want me to swallow first? That's literally it. I basically have to close my eyes because they're both the bad options. How are my cousins? Oh, yeah, your cousins. Mosquitoes. Yeah, mosquitoes. Mosquitoes. I guess they're definitely mosquitoes because I can see them. Hello, Music Man. Alright. All 5 Power Rangers can't take one Bane. Alright, that's whatever. The body humor is stupid, I agree. You need to rewatch Ace. I doubt that you need that in your life. What are y'all doing Superman stream? I'm seeing Thursday afternoon, and I'm down to jump on and chat about it. Okay, I am going to be doing a stream when I get back. I'm seeing it tomorrow night. And then I'm seeing it again with our crowd on Thursday at 3:00. So I will be back here at the store no later than 5:30. We're going to have our in-store raffle and give away, to people who can make it back here. And then after we clear them out, I'm probably going to do a stream around, I'm going to say 7 or 8 to go over it. And it'll be a non-spoiler review, obviously, because most people will not have seen it yet. So probably about 7:00 my time, Anthony. What is your experience when you saw E.T. in the theater? Oh, I thought E.T. was great, man. That's the last movie I actually cried at when I thought he was dead, and then I was scammed and he was alive. And so, yeah, I saw E.T. in 1982. I saw E.T. like literally. I think I saw that on Friday, and I believe if it was the same weekend, I think I saw Blade Runner and The Thing the same weekend. So we went to the movies. William, how much for a watch party of World of the Worlds? I would say 50 to 100 because that's not an awful movie. All right. So 10. Yeah, roughly around then. All right. No, scary movie's not funny. Neither was Ace Ventura. So, like I said, it's feces or raw sewage. Which one do you want me to eat? Is what you're asking me. All right. I'm going to get us set up here to watch this.
Are you going to play the clip?
Yeah, we shouldn't get taken down. They didn't get taken down. Phil and them didn't get taken down. Mm-hmm. If we get taken down, I'll just have to restart the stream.
Yeah.
Which would piss me off. Let's see. Man, your feedback. You guys can't hear Brad's feedback, but man, it sounds like he's about to jump out of a plane. And it's a StreamYard thing because you guys can't hear it, but I can. So it's a StreamYard thing, which is just driving me crazy.
Yeah, you want to get a new computer. No, still happening.
All right.
Although I am on my PC tonight, but I mean, again, you just told me it was happening. It started happening even when I was on my laptop.
I think if it's not your connection, but then again, like I said, audience, can you hear the feedback from Brad? Yes or no? Just let me know. If you can't hear it, then the only thing I can ascertain is that it's it is definitely a streamer thing. Hold on, where was this at?
And actually, do you want me to bring up the Variety article that kind of came with this?
You can. I haven't read it yet. Is
Okay.
it one of their usual hit pieces, or is it any good?
No, it's just talking about how this whole thing came about.
Because that's where that picture came from.
Yep.
There we go. Oh, Hollywood Handle a subsidiary of
I don't think so.
Because they always just copy what Variety is doing. Sorters. All right, hold on. Here it goes. Hold on. All right. Percent. Here it goes.
Extra creatine, please. Yo, James Gunn.
Oh, hi, Zack Snyder.
Just saw your new cut of Superman, and word of advice, he's the man of steel, not the man of conversation.
Okay.
Do more shots of him punching.
And by the way, this is the real Zack
Hold on.
Snyder and James Gunn voicing them.
And then you're gonna ramp it down.
It's not a f***ing secret. I'm sorry, Zack Snyder. I shouldn't be lashing out at you. Your biceps are the size of my head.
Yes, but so is my heart. What's going on with you?
Some fan of the Velocitree franchise got onto the lot today. He used a portal and he just... Zach, we're not losing touch with the audience, are we? I mean, I gave notes on the goddamn Count Chocula movie this morning.
Was the portal green? That's Rick Sanchez, Gunner. That's the guy that sealed Nolan in the giant bookcase to quote-unquote punish him for Interstellar. He doesn't represent real fans. He's just the smartest man in the universe. Don't sweat it. He can't do what we do. Probably. Gonna go crush some weights. One day you're gonna wish you hit the gym like I do, James Gunn.
You know what I really like about this clip is the fact that they both refer to each other by their full names every time.
Full name James Gunn, yeah, because that's their.
Well, because
Yeah.
they're playing on their like public images and kind of like the I mean, let's call a spade, the kind of the rivalry of their fandoms. So it's like they're both calling. So Zach calls James Gunn, Gunn calls Zach, Zack Snyder. So, and you know what else I dug about this too is because William has met Zach face to face, and Zach, he's a power lifter. He works out, but he's not that big a dude. He's like 5'7", 5'8".
That I towered over him. Yeah.
Yeah. So and I probably would too. I'm about 60. William's bigger than I am, but I'd still be bigger than Zach. I'm about 60 even. I'm pretty broad. But Zach, again, he lifts weights. He shares on social media a lot. So I dug to the animators of this. They decide, let's make Zach look like he's like Arnold Schwarzenegger in Commando. They make Zach like twice
the
as big.
Creatine was. I thought he puts creatine on a tray.
Yeah.
And goes to. I got a kick out of that. I thought that was hilarious. I thought that's the perfect time to release this. Just for people to refocus the conversation about whatever misgivings you have about the prior regime. Those guys are gone. These guys don't have a war going on.
Well,
you're fighting a war. These guys never fought.
Well, I don't think it's even about like that necessarily. I think it's just they're just having fun, just kind of riffing on their how they're perceived. I mean, Zach, he's kind of making like almost like a second career now out of playing himself in these little animated cameos, and also the one he had on the studio. So he's kind of you can see he's like really kind of leaning into like the image, like live.
Yeah, but I think
he's like a meathead, and it's like he just wants to see Superman punch things. And
I think it was definitely about that, though. I think it's because you don't release it today. You don't.
They don't have control over that because they're not on the Rick and Morty production team. They just they just voice themselves in it.
They don't, but you can't tell me that they didn't know when this was getting released. They filmed it at a certain time. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm saying that's close to why they did it.
Well, it's the same
It's
thing with the
like-
picture they took, and this actually played a kind of ties together with that because that picture they took. I mean, of course, that caused all kinds of ongoing speculation and like, oh, are they gonna? Is that coming back to DC? And RJ was actually when he was on Max's stream earlier, he said apparently that I didn't see this. RJ, if you're watching, can you pop in the chat and let me know because I mean they didn't say this explicitly in the Variety article, but RJ was talking about this is portending them doing some kind of like future collaboration. So that of course everybody has like immediate connotations of what that might entail, but of course I doubt that would be officially announced before Superman actually comes out. But
and it may mean nothing. I'm gonna treat it with the same thing as I did about the picture. It could lead, it could lead to something. It could lead to something we don't have an idea, or it could lead to something really good. But I think it's just,
wait, here's the here's the Variety article that this dropped like pretty much as soon as the episode aired.
Which, by the way, that's not an accident. They did this because.
Oh yeah, like the article. Yeah, so this was what I mean. They were told, okay, they honor their embargo on this. It's like you can't put this out until after the episode airs. Anyway, go ahead and read this. DC Studios CEO James Gunn and fellow filmmaker Zack Snyder made surprise appearances in this week's episode of Rick and Morty, lending their voices to guest stars over-the-top versions of themselves. They were good sports, said Rick and Morty executive producer Scott Martyr. Both those guys sort of implied that this is the show that they watch when they have downtime. So they were thrilled to get to be a part of the world, and there was no pushback or bristling. If anything, they laughed at anything we threw at them, and they were probably, frankly, all even more digs and more silly things that we could have used. All they did was laugh it off. Gunn in particular was framed as a villain, and Gunn has a larger role in this episode beyond just that one scene. It was a villain, season 8, episode 7, Ricker Than Fiction, written by Rob Sharp. The episode kicks off with Rick and Morty not happy about the creative direction of their favorite movie franchise, Maximum Velocity. So they head to the Warner Brothers lot, and more specifically, they confront Gunn, director, producer of Maximum Velocity. When they're not satisfied with Gunn's response, Rick and Morty use Rick's movie Lizer to rewrite the franchise themselves. In Warner Brothers cafeteria, Gunn runs into a swole Zack Snyder after some Superman ribbing. Just saw into the whole Superman punch things, etc., etc. Snyder tells him about Rick Sanchez, that guy, and just the whole dialogue exchange they had there. In the end, Rick and Morty, with the help of Jerry, managed to indeed come up with a better ending, having been sucked into the movie Lizer and becoming new Maximum Velocity villains. When they die in the movie, Gunn tearfully proclaims they did it. When ending, they outdone the Gun. Rick and Morty find their way back. Okay, so this is just like the plot line. I'm going to go more into the just the making of it.
You can watch that episode if you want. It's out there.
I'm excited for fans to get this one. Martyr said, I feel like they are always hungry for classic Rick and Morty episodes and ones that feel like a fun plug-and-play episode of the week. This one feels like it checks that box in a big way and then has fun surprises. So I'm going to go more into like how it came out. We were like, if we're going to do a movie and we're going to skewer Hollywood, we feel like we have to include our bosses. He said, so we started talking about Warner Brothers, who would be a good face for the kind of villain here. I guess they can't use David Zaslav. James Gunn seemed like such a good choice. We were all pretty sure that whenever Sharp reached out, Gunn would be 1,000,000% in the middle of doing Superman. But not only did he respond instantly with a yes, but I think he ran up the chain at Warner Bros. That same day. We had people on our production side who were like, how is it that James Gunn and Zaslav and all these people already know about this episode? We didn't think it would actually move this quickly. According to Martyr, Gunn even made sure to find time to stop by and do his lines in the Rick and Morty recording booth the morning after. This is what he did like right after he finished filming First Photography and Superman. I think Gunn called people over him to make sure it wasn't going to mess anything up, and it looked like he got the green light pretty quickly. Martyr said they both came in and were really good sports. I'm a very proud nerd. I idolize both these guys. They've got creative freedom very few people have in Hollywood to take big swings. Series co-creator Dan Harmon also got excited about the idea of both Gunn and Snyder showing up and joined in to write that Superman dialogue between the two. When he heard that they were both on board and they were coming in, he sort of cracked his knuckles and wanted to make sure the episode lived up to and was worthy of them having to deliver those lines. Gunn and Snyder recorded their lines back to back and took a picture together that day that went viral online. So the day they recorded these lines, that was also the day they took that picture together that kind of set the internet into a tailspin.
Luckily, sent some people into a tailspin.
Well, no, it sent anybody who looked at it into a tailspin. But luckily for the show, which wanted to keep their cameos a secret, no one picked up. They run into each other because of Rick and Morty. I appreciate that we were able to keep it tight-lipped until now. We're pretty Fort Knox over here. We really clamp down anything that goes out. into the public, we get approval on because fans look at everything like the Zapruder film or through a jeweler's lens. The storyline, Rick or the Fiction, was also meta-centric on fan discourse over franchises, sequels, and long-running IP like both Superman and Rick and Morty. For sure, it's a very high-class situation to have such passionate audience. It was certainly very organic to that episode. Yeah, so more fluff there. Gunn is shot at the end. Yeah, he gets killed in this episode. Not by Zack Snyder, but another character. Yeah, as for Snyder, the filmmaker is such a fan that he almost immediately asked to do more. I direct all the voices, so I directed both those guys, and Snyder left, and he came back like a fan saying, I'll do anything for the show. Throw me a tag. Throw me a thing. Martyr said it was just cool to hear such enthusiasm for him. And of course, who doesn't love this end of the article? So how about a Snyder cut of Ricker than Fiction? That would be cool, Martyr said. I do love a good Snyder cut. Well, don't we all?
Yeah. So it was fun. It was cool. But like I didn't go. We did a show when that picture came out, and I kind of you went into a tailspin. I just thought it may mean to something. It may mean to nothing. And like I said, I didn't think it was leading to Rick and Morty, where everybody else is saying, everybody else went like 10,000 miles in every direction with it. But it's it was fun to see. It was cool to see. It's a good time to release it. I thought it was hilarious.
Well, again, so now, again, like with this being, because like what you said, like I mean, this is within days. I mean, within less than a day for in some cases of Superman being released. I mean, you just keep putting this back in people's faces. So, the one that you mentioned is like this is kind of clearing the air as far as it's not bad blood between Zack and Gunn, but like just the kind of sordid history of the studio over the last few years, as far as their relationship with Zack Snyder, with his fans, et cetera, et cetera. Again, RJ, if you're watching, it's like, again, was this because that was I peered in on Max's stream when they were talking about this too, and he said apparently they have reached some, or they're discussing some kind of future DC Studios collaboration. That sounds fantastic. So we'll get that news when we get it. But again, I haven't heard it from either one of them.
Yeah, so. No offense, RJ, but I want to get that from somewhere, because once again, I don't want to go 1,000 miles in every direction based on one thing that may not mean that thing. We can speculate when we actually have, if you saw it somewhere credible that we can actually go with it. Other than that, we've done this before where we've twisted ourselves into pretzels trying to figure out, a next step that may never come or may not be the step that we think it is. To me, I'm just going to have fun with what I saw tonight, and I'm not going to draw any conclusions beyond that.
I mean,
get something to draw conclusions.
The thing I keep going back to is, I mean, just if your mandate is move away from.
That's not their mandate, though.
You don't. I'm saying if that is your mandate, you don't keep doing stuff like this. You don't keep reminding people of the guy you're trying to move away from.
I have never seen any mandate from the current regime of that, to be honest with you. I saw, obviously, the previous regime, but they're gone. They were all been fired. So I really can't read something in opposition to, well, if you're trying to do this, because they've never stated where they were going. They've never stated they haven't said anything about the previous regime's efforts and what they did to those movies. So I really can't say this is in contrast to anything when they haven't really done anything to be contrasted to. I mean, they've never come out and said that we're never doing this or we're doing this then. They've never said. We've speculated. We've all speculated about that, but that speculation isn't fact. So I'm just going to have fun with the moment. And if it leads somewhere, just like I said with the picture, it leads somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, and that's my point I'm making is that that's why I think, okay, maybe this isn't like the stringent like get away from Snyder's influence on DC that the previous.
But it never was. It never was.
But that's what I'm saying. It's like if that were the mandate, I mean, you just don't keep putting the man in our face if you're trying to make us forget it.
Yeah, I think I think the current people wouldn't have no problem. It just has to fit. Like, whatever they end up doing has to fit. It can't be forced out of desperation or forced out of, desire. It has to fit and whatever comes next. It's just like any project that we want. We just us wanting it's not enough. It has to fit.
Well, we'll see where that goes. Because I mean, if that's what if they've had some kind of handshake, I mean that news will be made official, way it needs to be. But other than that, pretty funny little surprise to get tonight. We definitely didn't think we were going to be talking about this.
Yeah, just have fun with it, guys. Just have fun with it. Don't go to places. Don't go to a cliff yet.
The other thing too is, like I said a minute ago, is that again, Zach is like he's kind of crafting like almost like a second career now, where he's kind of like he's making these little cameos things where he's like portraying like a caricature of himself. And I mean, Gunn kind of is too. Is this his? Because I think this is at least one previous time he was on Rick and Morty, wasn't there?
I don't watch Rick and Morty on the regular.
Yeah, I've been kind of off of it recently, but he had the Teen Titans Go appearance, he had the studio appearance, he had this, and it's like he's really, you can tell he's having fun, like leaning into the idea of like, oh, I'm just the meathead filmmaker, and my superheroes are in ridiculous shape and they just punch things, and it's like every movie I make has like a 6-hour unreleased cut, and you're gonna have to hashtag for 2 years to get it. He's really having fun, like kind of leading into the sort of the what a lot of his detractors sort of see him as, and in some respects maybe even like some of what his fans just kind of think of. So I really hope he keeps this going. I'm really enjoying like the Zach lampooning Zach. It's he's never afraid to kind of make fun of himself. So Zach, if you're watching, keep it up. And the discussed like return to Rick and Morty in that article, yes, I'm definitely down. So yeah, keep this going. Keep this Zach spoofing Zach thing going.
Right. Yeah, so it's pretty much this is promotion for the movie, by the way, because this company that does Rick and Morty, that's all, those are all involved. I mean, if you look at the Cartoon Network, there's a lot of those guys. So they basically use their own network, Cartoon, to promote the movie, which is good. So yeah, that was fun. All right, so
by the way, can we play the clip of well, I don't know if we play the clip, but the part where Gunn gets shot at the end of the episode, he apparently he lies. He's like lying in a pool of blood, like in a similar position to Superman when he crashes into the snow in the one clip in the Fortress of Solitude.
I don't know how much we can show.
Okay, that's our roll dice.
I don't need him to come back for Justice League 2 and 3. I don't need there to be a Justice League 2 or 3. Find a way to finish the story arc. If you can do it in comics, it's better, because that's asking too much. That's actually, with each passing day, becoming a more ridiculous ask. Just the movies that are in the current zeitgeist are barely getting made and barely doing well. We're talking about something that you like literally have to. Like I said, I just get it done in the graphic novel form, 12-issue maxi series, offshoots on each end, tell the whole story, and then if somebody wants to pick it up and adapt it to either an animation or a show, then that's fine. But Justice League 2, 3, Man of Steel, I saw another one of those lists that just has all this stuff on it, and it exhausted me looking at it. So I know that's a dead on arrival type situation when you're bringing it to a film studio or a producer. So just do the papers and the staples and let it grow from there. All right, let's see. I don't know what you're talking about, Mighty Rex. Kavari. This is I don't think I've seen you over here. Yeah, Zach is
coming black and coming back, and that's a out of pocket if it won't be Reserve or sort of DC.
I don't think you would ever. That's the only way it would ever be. Anything that he's doing outside of his core world is going to be an Elseworlds. Which
here's RJ. It doesn't mention him. Apparently, the reason
I didn't mention your ass.
I mentioned because I saw the stream that where Max's stream we were talking about this. Got started to the photo together because they were both on WB Lot to record for Rick and Morty. Not sure if they talked about anything else, but still really cool.
Yeah.
Also saying hi before I go to bed.
Hi. Yeah, right. I don't know if they talked to you, and if they did, great. That'd be awesome. But like I said, I think that where a lot of the damage has been is when we set ourselves up for things in our own head that are actually may or may not be happening in reality, and then we crash, and then we're mad, and then we want to pick a villain. So I just don't want to get into that atmosphere of it. All right, Power Rangers.
But long story short, very funny episode, guys.
Yeah, I didn't watch the whole episode. I saw that because I was watching Phil. And
Yeah, and I looked up his too because his reaction they were cracking up at it.
hold on, where does fuck is this?
But again, that's the thing I loved about this. They made Zach like to play into like the kind of the whole meathead kind of like stereotype.
Well, he even had his tattoo there. You see his accurate
yes,
tattoo.
but they made him like twice as big as he is in real life.
Yeah, because he's not that big. Like I said, he comes about here to me.
Yes, he can power lift, but he's not a big dude from. And I talked to Stephen Colbert earlier. I messaged my old colleague Screen Rant, and I shared that clip with him, and I said, again, as somebody who he is also met Zach in person, is like he's not this big in real life. He said, yeah, he's about 5'8". So I just got a kick out of the fact that they again, it's playing on like the just whatever like negative image you have of either one of them. They're just kind of like drawing humor for that. So it was really funny.
Well, they're making the fan base feel rightfully silly about how we act sometimes. So. Let's see. So Power Rangers. I had my stuff up here, but my window collapsed. Can't believe it's been 30. You were what, 8?
I was about because Power Rangers started in stateside in like 93, I think. So I was like 6.
Is it 93 or was it 90?
No, it was 93. Yeah, it was right when I first got to Hawaii as a kid. So yeah, it was.
Why did I not? Oh, wow! Because like I said, I remember.
Well, if you're going now, we just celebrated the 30-year anniversary of the movie. You know, the first Power Rangers movie that came out June 30th,
1993 to present. Yeah, so
yeah, then the movie was June 30th, 95. So
wow, and there's a lot of mess in between. Oh my goodness! So I'm gonna give you, like I said, that movie was okay, but it lacked the spirit of the show, in my opinion. Let's see, the very first episode.
I had my favorite version of all the suits, I will say. All the suits are pretty awesome in that movie.
August 28th, 1993. So we're 32. 33.
Wow, yeah. And I was, when family moved. Well, let's see. My mom I was getting to argue with my mother about this because the way I remember is we went to Hawaii like February, March of 93. She recalls as being like late 92. So, but just in that general time frame was when we first got to Hawaii.
Real quick, yeah, I you know what? I mean, I would say do it. I would say don't do it all at once. I would say, yeah, you could put it into one thick graphic novel, but I would say, why not? Why not spread it out? Why not spread it throughout the year? Why not do it like a crisis situation or do it like a Secret War situation, a Secret Elseworlds thing to where because once you put it out in that format, you talk about it and it's over. If you got 12 months and then each week of that 12 months, like absolute, the absolute DC storyline is just finished up its first arc and we're moving into the second arc, and we're not even a year with that, and we get to talk about that.
It's like if you got a 4-hour movie put out as a miniseries. All right, we had dickheads running the company at the time that wouldn't let it happen. Sorry. Well, I'd let that out.
But even then, a 4-episode miniseries or a 12-issue, 12 years is longer than just one. 12 months is
12 years. 12 years is a lot longer than 1 month.
So I mean, I would have liked to seen it episodic, but I didn't mind seeing it all at once there because it's only 4 hours. But 12 issues. And you're talking about it each issue. You're doing the side books. You're putting out variants. You're putting out reprints. You're telling different stories. You have different artists. It's just so much to talk about and get made. So I would do it in a maxi series, kind of like Watch Watchmen was done, kind of like Crisis was done. But literally, it would be a whole year's worth of comics, and then you get to tell every piece of the story you want to tell. In fact, whoever is getting up from the creatives get up from that table, there's nothing left to say. That's what I want, and that's why I want it in that format. All right, so I first discovered Power Rangers in 1994, the first full year that was on the air, because it didn't premiere till the end of 1993 in August, basically September. So with 3 months left in the year for me, 1994 is when I first saw. I first saw the show, and it had already started in reruns, it's technically it was still in its first season. So I thought it was goofy. I thought it was hilarious though, but I instantly recognized the stuff I had grown up watching with Voltron and Gatchaman. And for those of you who don't know, Battle of the Planets, I'm going to give you an idea. Again, I got the comics here too, but this is what I first saw. And Battle of the Planets had already. Let's bring this up. Battle of the Planets had already been off the air when I first saw it. So, and here's what we have. So we have something like this. 1978 to 1980. Now, if you look at that, this led directly to Voltron. This led the same people were putting it led directly to Voltron. The color schemes, pink, blues, greens, blacks. I mean, each character having a different color scheme, and then you go to the original Voltron, not the one that would come later, but the original Voltron with the lions. You see a lot of similarities with Voltron, as you see with Power Rangers. So I think one of the reasons why Power Rangers connected with me and a lot of people either my age or around my age that weren't little kids is because they had primed us. See that? Same color scheme. Now with Voltron, it's even more because the Zords and the Megazords and all that's to me. I mean, that's a direct launching pad right into what Power Rangers would become. And then, as we moved on, mid 90s, we started getting things like, limited internet, live action budgets, because for what Power Rangers was, it was kind of an expensive show for what it was. It was basically there to promote the toys. That's all the TV shows that came on from like the late 70s all the way up until the mid to late 90s were there for the toys. G.I. Joe was there for the toys. The comic book G.I. Joe was there to support the toys. The Transformer comic book and cartoon was there to support the toys. They even sabotaged themselves by making a movie where they killed off half the generation of Transformers so that they could sell a new wave of toys. So, and it was no different with Power Rangers. The Power Rangers toy was under-manufactured and it's immensely popular. You had people waiting. I was working at Walmart when those toys would come in, and you could see the Bandai logo on the side of the cardboard box. So when they weren't trying to tear up our pallets for Hot Wheels, they were trying to bribe us to dig out, because we would know on the pallet when it came off the truck. I could have told you exactly where the Power Rangers box was, and you'd had guys like handing us 20s and 10s. Hey, take this. Obviously, as soon as we take it, we'd be fired. So, but yeah, we would know, and then we would roll the stuff over to the toy section, right? And as soon as the overnight toy person started breaking down the pallet, those people were there helping them dig through it. And when the Green Ranger came out, you want to see some violent, well-mannered people that should have not been that violent. When they first put out the Green, you got one box of Power Rangers, and out of those ones that you get, one of them was Tommy. They were damaging the other ones to get to him, and it was worse when the White Ranger came out. They're like, which one do you think the White?
I was a collector.
Dude, I can't see through the cardboard.
And every new iteration, like when they went from like Mighty Morphin to Zeo, and it's like I was getting to do Zords, I was getting to do Rangers, Turbos. That was the point where I kind of like, okay, I sort of petered out with Power Rangers as a kid, and then I came back to it, as an adult, because I kind of started like appreciating it, in the way as an adult, like William was talking about. But Turbo sucked. Turbo was terrible.
Yeah. That's when it. But once again, just when you thought Turbo had taken the shovel and started putting you know what? every one of these franchises had its time. Here he comes. Either at a convention. That guy didn't miss a convention, dude. Not all the Power Rangers were able to make it to everything. Jason, he made it to everything. He made it. I would see pictures of that guy at like a small time convention that didn't have. He would be the biggest name there. Out in the middle of nowhere. Here's Jason David Frank. And shit like that keeps things alive longer than maybe they should have been. You could make an argument that Power Rangers should have been played out decades ago, but they didn't. And nobody will ever be able to tell me that him keeping it in there, and was a major part of that.
And then when he started his MMA career too, I mean, that kind of gave it another new wave as well. Because then it was like, now Power Rangers, like, MMA is like going mainstream, and now it's like, okay, now a Power Ranger is competing in this, so that gave it also like another kind of new surge of with the life of the new generation. Yes, Aaron, Power Rangers, for those of you who may not know, it's an Americanized version of the Japanese series Super Sentai, which is why when a lot of the footage when they're fighting the monsters or when they're fighting the putties, it's like you can notice like the film quality is a little bit different. It's because that's the Japanese footage, and then it's kind of markedly different when it's the American footage. But yes, it is. It's taking that and kind of like doing an American version of it. That's what Power Rangers was.
Yeah, so here you go with some of the. I'm trying to find a good picture of some of the original ones, but there have been so many remakes of the toys. Remember how they used to come in those triangle boxes? When they started selling them, singular, because then when I was first working at Walmart, I'm just looking for the best picture I can get. When I first started working at Walmart, they were sold. You had to get them in the boxes with each other, and they were assorted, right? Then they started putting them separately in these triangular shaped cardboard boxes, but you didn't know which character it was. It just said Power Rangers on them. So people were just, man, they got crazy. So let's bring up. But it was the toy. The toy was, I saw the, see, here's the toys. This is original toys. I saw the toys before, or I saw the stuff before I saw the toys. And then they started doing this. I got this one. This is the first Power Ranger toy I bought because I was at Walmart when they first released them. This is the little itty bitty, like the G.I. Joe size ones. Because the ones you bought originally were this big. They were about this big. And this was the one, and this came out. Let me see if I can get. Can you guys see that? Hold on. I want to bring it to screen.
Yeah, the ones I had, all the ones that the ones where you had the Ranger's head and you push the button and then it had to flip forward and had the helmet on. They had to make those shoulders really wide though, so you could.
Yeah, here it is. No, I don't want to create a password. What do you
We used to call when I was a kid. We called it the Flip 'em Head Power Rangers.
What is this?
Yeah, I had these. I was all over these.
Hold on. So
Yeah, Rita's in Super Sentai. Z Ranger was Bandora, and she had her own theme song. Yeah, because I've seen.
Yeah, after the first 2 years, they became like.
Yeah, pretty much.
Anywhere.
It became Power Ranger. I've only seen like a little few bits of like the original Sentai here and there. You can find it on YouTube, but it's definitely it's definitely very much Power Rangers to me with how it entered my life at a very young age.
Yeah, so here's the triangular box I was telling you about. So I think these are the original. Yeah, this is the original one. I'm going to bring this up. So here it is. Present. So there you go. This is what the boxes look like. That triangular box. See that?
Yeah, I had a lot of these too. These are probably the best figures out of all of them because those are this is biggest of them. There, yeah.
And you could tell these are the bigger ones. These are about this big. They're about 12 inches because the figures you could push their heads and they would have the unhelmeted mask, like Brad was saying. But then you could get the dragon. Like the one I did, the only one I went back and bought that was the original size one was the Green Ranger, and I got it as dragon. And that, man, it was only because at the time I was about 220 pounds. and I had went on my lunch break. I'll never forget this. Went on my lunch break, and we just unloaded the truck. Went on my lunch break. Went over, and I talked to Toyota. Hey, can I go get this open? Because I knew it was there. Right. Open it up. Got the thing. Got it on. And this dude, literally came up to me and said, "I'll be taking that." And I'm like, "Excuse me? You're an employee. You can't do that." "Oh, sir, I'm off the clock." And he had a grip on it. This dude had to be like about 5'6". And I'm like, "You're going to need to let go. I'm going to talk to your manager. Go ahead. And you can talk to me when I clock back in. Right now, you may..." I'm like, I don't even care about the toy right now. I'm like, "You got your hands like you're about to power this away from me. Do you look at yourself right now? Get your ass beat over a fucking Power Ranger." So I snatched it back from him, and I snatched my damn Dragon Zord, and I went and bought it. He complained. And I'm like, "There's nothing I can do about it, sir. He's off the clock. He can buy whatever he wants. We encourage our associates to shop here. What do you want me to do?" He literally legit complained. But yeah, the Hot Wheels was another thing. Man, we had some absolute ghouls overnights that would come in, because this is when Walmart was 24 hours before we went full Mayberry. It was 24 hours. They would come in 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, digging, and they would make a fucking mess, dude. It would piss me off. If I was a guy who dragged the pallets out from the truck, they would just throw the stuff on the floor, and whatever it wasn't. Once they found what they wanted, they left all that shit on the floor. I'm like, "You sons of bitches." They didn't want us to say anything. Like, ripping the carts open. When they didn't find, they would throw the Hot Wheels out that they didn't want and get the one that they did. Leave the box of cardboard. I'm like, "You motherfuckers." Same thing with the Power Rangers and all the other stuff that would come out then. That was the only thing that sucked about being 24 hours. You had to let those assholes in. And they'd hang out at the toy section. They would either, they were rude to us. They were either trying to bribe us or they were mean to us. And then, like I said, if there was another hunter there that it was like gang warfare. I'm like, "Dude, you are some grown ass men here for some toys." So yeah, this is what they looked like when they came out. And the toys were very popular. I looked at them like, dude, I come from the age of Transformers. I come from the age of Voltron. This is a much more simpler, but for some reason, that show was popular. Those toys are popular. They're still valuable to this day, especially that first run. Now, after the first couple of seasons, it kind of died out for me. I was like, okay. And then we started doing Zeo and Turbo, and I'm like, okay.
Zeo I liked. Zeo I enjoyed. Turbo really, it went downhill.
And then the time shot, and then they had all kinds of stuff. But like I said, every time I thought that okay, just like Transformers went, third generation, it's over. G.I. Joe, we started seeing like neon colored camouflage characters coming out. It's over. You start repackaging the Rattler into some orange and blue painting. It's over. You've run out of ideas. And you know what? Not everything can last forever. Every time Power Rangers reached that edge, I swear to God, I saw which Jason. He's a guest star now. Oh, now he's on there more. Oh, there's a convention when he's on, and he would be at these conventions, and there would be sometimes he would be the only Power Ranger there. That's how one guy can do that. I don't know why the rest of them weren't there. Maybe it's too expensive. Maybe he didn't charge a lot too.
I read I read a line. It's like apparently he didn't charge for autographs, so there's that.
Dude, that is unheard of. Listen, J. Scott Campbell, who I will pay.
Yeah, because people. I mean, this is legit. People going to celebrities going to conventions like this. I mean, this is legit income they make.
I mean, William Shatner sometimes to get his autograph, picture, and everything else, $225 per person. J. Scott Campbell, who at $30, you get one free one, and then anything beyond that you pay, or you got to keep getting in line. You go to any of these conventions, they have their fee. Sometimes it's part of the convention fee. So if they're doing free autographs, it's part of the convention fee. But from what I hear, he just did it. He just did it, and could you imagine that? That's you don't have to come out at $30. You're branding yourself right there. And he's talking to people, and he look at some of the conventions that this guy went to. Type in Jason David Frank convention schedule for like any given year. These ain't Comic-Con. These ain't New York Comic-Con. These are places that he went out and literally made those conventions. And I think with all the mediocrity that Power Rangers had during that interim pride, that late 90s, mid 2000s, where it was just like, oh, you're still around, he kept it relevant. So Power Rangers, man, it's been so 30 years since the movie, but 32 years since the actual franchise hit. And it's I am not as big into Power Rangers as maybe you or Aaron are, or where do you think, as people who are probably more into it now, where do you think it is today? Do you think it's strong today?
That's kind of that's an interesting question. Because I mean, we were definitely the target audience for it during its heyday, and I was at that age. I was religious about Power Rangers. Also pull it up on Tubi, and also the all episodes on Tubi and Power Rangers YouTube channel. I think, and I know you're not a big fan of the or you're depending on the application of it, of nostalgia. But I think that's actually where a lot of its strength lies. Is that a lot, even though it is still ongoing with new iterations now, it's like a lot of, and we've seen like what they did, like the Netflix reunion episode, and like what they did with the movie 2017 and other stuff they've got in the works. It's a lot of it is really kind of harkening back towards like the Mighty Morphin era and the Turbo era. So I think a lot of it's I think it is kind of an example of nostalgia where it's like you cut the wire the right way, where it's like that has given it like a kind of renewed life among like it's the people who are like who are the age Aaron and I are, who were the core fan base for it at that during its intro, and now it's like we can kind of revisit it at this age and sort of look back on it through a new lens. So I think Power Rangers it's still very big, still very popular, but it's also a lot of that is a lot of its strength today is kind of rooted in sort of the love for its intro, that's its debut, that's held by like a lot of people who grew up with it as children, or now grown to adults. Now we meet like a lot of the old Rangers at conventions and things like that. So I feel like I feel like the nostalgia for like the earliest iterations like really plays a role in like what Power Rangers, what its significant is today. It's like, not to say like the kind of the newer incarnations of it, but those are, I mean, I've interviewed people who were in some like the new versions of Power Rangers.
And listen, don't get me wrong, guys. Don't get me wrong. There are people who love the other incarnations. I'm just not one of them, and I just didn't connect with them like I connected with the original one.
But like everything you're saying about like Jason Frank, again, like he gave that, he made Power Rangers an IP. Really, I think is probably the highest compliment you can pay him. He made Power Rangers a legitimate IP. He made it a legitimate franchise. He made it legitimately something that that could sell out tickets at a Comic-Con panel. And he kept that, and he had a reputation. He loved his fans. He had a reputation for just being so giving and so grateful to his fan base, and really enjoying like everything Power Rangers did for him. So I definitely share William's opinion. It's like Power Rangers just does not have the shelf life and the staying power that it does without everything he did for it.
Yeah, because you can take your kid to a convention and see the guy that you saw, and that helps. That strengthens nostalgia, because you're taking your kid looks up to you, and he's seeing the enjoyment you had standing next to this guy. So it's a lot easier to pick up. It's like Star Trek for me.
Yeah,
I saw the excitement my dad had with Star Trek while I was growing up, and that excitement for Star Trek passed on to me. And I've kept it to this day. So and it's all it takes is one personality. But like I said, without him, I'm sorry. No disrespect to the rest of the Power Rangers, including the Yellow Ranger, who passed away way too young.
Yeah.
That's the guy. That's the dude.
Yeah.
That's why when he died. Yeah, obviously, I always say anybody who passes, he was a thread that kept a lot of people above water.
I still remember that night. It was Thanksgiving weekend, 2022. I just went to bed. I was ready to do rosaries, just hoping I'd wake up to the news that this was a celebrity death hoax, and I would have been just fine. Like, hey, if some asshole decided to just play with everybody's emotions, I would have gladly taken that over hearing the news that we did.
Yeah, we did a show because Stave was still as
we were
on the air the previous night, and we went the next day
before my YouTube life began. Yeah. that it was actually about God. It was just barely like about 6-7 weeks before William and I hooked up. So yeah, it was really really heartbreaking hearing that
I'll
news.
throw with Anthony Bourdain. At that one, Chris Cornell and Anthony Bourdain are the ones that just really was like, fuck. That just sent a cold sensation from head to toe because A, I didn't see it coming. I didn't know what he was going through. Same thing with Anthony Bourdain. Dude, there's this website, or I think it's Facebook. Facebook, there's a thing because I visit, he comes up with these quotes. And Anthony Bourdain would have these long quotes. And what they were about was just how to look at things to where, yeah, having money is great. Having happiness is harder. Take a chance. Go sit next to somebody you don't know. Pop open a beer. I don't drink liquor, but he would say these things, and he would try to like basically mend. He would just basically just introduce himself and talk to people, and he was all about growing his world and teaching how us introverts or people who are xenophobic to grow your world. Go to a strange company, try something new, and he just was all about that. And the day that he went, I'm like, I mean, where was the person that he needed to hear that from? You see what I mean? These people that are in these circles and that mean a lot to these other people, where are their people? Where is that person up there? And it just sucks because you're doing the aftermath after this person is gone. And Jason David Frank with that one, like I said, I was far gone with Power Rangers. I wasn't into it as much anymore. I still kept an eye on it, but I knew what the relevance was, and I knew how relevant he was to a whole bunch of people. And he kept, like I said, he kept that franchise, in my opinion. He bought that franchise time. Whatever the Power Ranger franchise does from this point on, they owe it in large part to him because he kept that franchise afloat for them to take off again, if they ever do take off in that manner again. So Power Rangers, the toys. I mean, what did you guys think? Leave it in the comments. How did Power Rangers, if it affected you at all? How did it, what are your memories of it? How much fun did you have with it? How old were you? Because like I said, I was 20 when I laid eyes on it. So how old were you when you found it? What was your experience with Power Rangers? So
here's, let me pull this up. Here's when I did Screen Rant when I was there. I interviewed Russell Curry and Jordan Fight from Dino Fury season 2. This is a couple years ago. So this is like the kind of like the current or the kind of the more modern wave of Power Rangers. And again, it's like, I mean, all respect to like everything Power Rangers is right now. It's like the fact that it has had the longevity that it has. Again, I just don't think you have that without everything that the face that Jason David Frank gave to it. It's like it just doesn't it doesn't last to the point where I'm doing an interview with two guys, two current generation Rangers of 2022 without everything Jason David Frank did for it. It doesn't get his impact cannot be overstated on it.
Look at the franchises that didn't have a David Frank life. Look at G.I. Joe. Look at Transformers. Look at all these things that didn't have a guy going out there. To them, it was a job. They were the voice people. Peter Cullen is still around, but he wasn't the magnetic rigger that Jason David Frank was. It was just nail and the coffin are pretty much hand in hand, but I don't know quite where it was even then. So because that was
I like the
that got
quite a
released
bit.
the same day as Bumblebee. Which
you're talking, no, I like the movie, the 2017 movie. I like that quite a lot, actually.
I was indifferent. Yeah.
The way I always describe the 2017 movie, with the kind of the tone and sort of the visual side they gave to it, I always
the coins.
Yeah, I always describe the 2017 movie as like they were doing it in the style, or they were putting a spin on it that was meant to. It was meant to represent kind of like a 6-year-old kid's like interpretation of Power Rangers. Like, this is what you felt like you were seeing with Power Rangers. That's what I always kind of like took the 2017 movie as.
All right, one of us is freezing up really bad. Chat, is it me or Brad? Because if it's me, I'm gonna have to switch over.
I think it might be you. So Aaron echoes everything I just said about Jason Frank. Yeah, it was pretty much my first fandom too. Well, I was into DC characters and Spider-Man before that, and I would say that really primed me to be become a Power Rangers fanatic. and all
Yeah,
kind
I
of
was
like.
already knee deep in the comic books for that time.
And then, as far as like other, I didn't get to interview him for anything professional, but I did meet Michael Copon about like 8 or 9 years ago at a con, and he was, of course, hails from Power Rangers. He also, he's Aaron. You'll like this. He's actually in Scott Adkins' next movie upcoming, Prisoner of War. So might get to see a fight scene with Scott Adkins and one of the Power Rangers. Sounds pretty awesome, I think.
Okay, so I'm in here twice. Let's keep. There we go. All right. Can you hear me?
Hear you? Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, you were muted.
Yeah.
All right. So there's the
I don't think I'm muted anymore, guys.
So Julian McMahon too. Yeah, Julian McMahon passed away at 56 years old.
Yeah, that's a real. So that would mean he was what, like 37 when he was Doctor Doom the first time?
Somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Yeah, he passed away. The guy that played Admiral Bate, he passed away. He was in his 80s, so a whole bunch of people went.
Yeah. 2025. Can you please kindly stop?
It's almost as bad as what 2026 was, or 2016. 2016 was like, I was afraid to pick up my cell phone because it was like so and so.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh fuck, what happened to him? You know, Lemmy passed away then. David Bowie passed away that year.
Mm.
Carrie Fisher passed away that year.
Yeah, a year after I missed the opportunity to see her at a panel at a con.
Never miss your opportunities, guys. I always tell you that one.
It's cool you got to interview a couple of stars of the current Power Rangers. Did you know the current Power Rangers series is first lesbian Power Rangers? I was not aware of that. What are they on right now, actually, as far as like Power Rangers? Because I'm not watching the current wave of Power Rangers. It's cool they've managed to do that though. See where they're at, because they're on like the version like number, Cosmic Fury. That's what's ongoing. Yeah, it's the 30th season.
What's the following?
Yeah. What's again?
What's the following of? Do they still have a star? I know it can't be anywhere near what it once was, but is it?
Well, I mean, they're on. Right now. They're on Cosmic Fury at season 1. So that is that's on Netflix. So that is they had a few seasons of Dino Fury. I mean, again, they're on season 30, so there's definitely still people following Power Rangers.
Yeah. So Black Sabbath performed their final show last night or the night before. And Ozzy is getting up there. Geezer was on the drums. I mean, everybody came out in full effect. There's Sammy Hagar is there. There's Kirk Hammett was there. Billy Corgan was there from Smash Pumpkins. Steven Tyler from Aerosmith is there. I see some people. I see from Slayer's there. Lost Orcs is there. There was a lot more people there. Black Sabbath co-founder and guitarist Tony Iommi revealed in an interview with BBC Midlands today that Ozzy Osbourne is singing final will perform 2 songs at the Sabbath's final show that happened July 5th, so it was yesterday. There he is. He's in that throne that you see him sitting in there. And Black Sabbath, the album I believe was released in 1970. It is largely, we've covered Black Sabbath here. It is largely considered the first heavy metal album. If you were to come to me and tell me that, I'm not going to fight you on it because what your perception of heavy metal is and hard rock and stuff, that will determine who you think came first. But most commercial people would say that that first album was the dawn of heavy metal. Um, I think there were bands that were doing similar music and were doing similar chords. I think that Black Sabbath was the one with the hits that came out. I mean, the early '70s of what they were able to do. The Tony Iommi, who accidentally became that kind of guitar player because he cut off tips of his fingers, so he had to learn how to play in a different way, which ended up being a heavier chord, and that's where the term heavy metal came. It was just a heavy, an inundation of sound and feedback, and there was a lot of practitioners of the guitar prior to him, but because of the style of play he was forced to play, his sound was different. And that's why a lot of people probably attribute this to, because a lot of people would emulate. They would, a lot of the '80s bands would emulate what he was doing, and those were metal bands. But 55-year career has come to an end. By the time I was coming of age, Ozzy had already left the band, and the person who I consider to be the better of the two lead singers, Ronnie James Dio, had taken over with an album called Heaven and Hell, which has the best Black Sabbath song on it, "Lost Children of the Sea." Best Black Sabbath song, no matter who's lead singing. He would do 2 albums with him, Mob Rules, and then he himself would come back, and they would actually all get back together and tour as Black Sabbath, which was the lineup that would have Ozzy as lead singing, and then the other part of the night would be Heaven and Hell, which would be Ronnie James Dio singing, and they would perform up to this. They had tours planned. Sadly, age 66, Ronnie James Dio passes away of stomach cancer. One of the biggest losses in the music industry, in my opinion, because I still think, he would be playing into his 80s. I think Ronnie James Dio, with that voice he had, which was the perfect voice for Black Sabbath. I always, it's the same difference I have between with Van Halen, between David Lee Roth and Sammy Hagar. One of them is an MC, and that's perfectly fine, and then the other one was a singer. To me, Ronnie James Dio, his chords, his voice was brought out more in Black Sabbath than anything I'd ever seen. Never got a chance to see this band live. Never got a chance to see Black Sabbath live. A lot of times in my formative years, they had been broken up, or they were on hiatus. Ozzy was doing his own thing, and Blizzard of Oz. I mean, he had a very, very successful career. Dio had left the band. While I was growing up and could afford to go to concerts. And by the time they got back together to do the Heaven and Hell tour, I'm like, damn it, I'm going to go see that someday. They have to hit Vegas. Never happened. He passed before that happened. One of the biggest regrets is I never got a chance to see Black Sabbath live. Of the bands that were around when and I'm like, I was never going to see Hendrix live. He died before I was born, so I don't have that. But Black Sabbath was on this planet while I was, and I just never got a chance to see it. Queen, I was a kid. When Freddie Mercury died. I was only 16. I had no money to go to see a concert like that. I wouldn't go to my first concert until that 9 months after Freddie Mercury died, and that would be Metallica, Motorhead, and Guns N' Roses. I mean, that's a hell of a lineup for your first concert. But Black Sabbath, now that they've retired, there are tribute bands that do a good job, but the actual band themselves has a huge impact. You can see just by the people who showed up to their show. I mean, you got Sammy Hagar there, who is a titan in himself. These are people that considered. Forget about whether I consider Black Sabbath to be the godfathers of heavy metal. All those people on that stage. What Black Sabbath did lent itself to my favorite era of music. Billy Corgan, Smashing Pumpkins, he's heavily influenced by Black Sabbath. That's why he's there. Montrose with Sammy Hagar, all these guys, even if they did a lighter form of heavy metal, They were looking at with Ozzy. They were looking at with Tony Iommi. They were looking at with Geezer, Bill Ward, all those guys. They were all looking at that, looking at what they were doing. And as they changed the game. Even if you have dispute whether they invented the game, they definitely changed the game in ways that like groups like Metallica, Megadeth would take it to a much heavier, much harder edge situation in the mid '90s. But everybody was looking back at Black Sabbath. So congratulations to them on being able to retire mostly intact. I mean, Ronnie's passed, but their original lineup is there. I did not get a chance to watch this show yet. I've seen bits and pieces of it while he's sitting there talking. I don't know if they played any of Dio songs. I know they usually didn't. That was one of the reasons why when they had Dio with him, they said, you know what, Ozzy, we'd rather have you singing your songs than have Ozzy and vice versa. And the fact that they were able to tour with Ronnie James Dio and because they respected each other. They respected each other. So this was one of the things of this week where it's like we're saying goodbye to Black Sabbath, but they're not dead. Thank God. There's been a lot of people way younger than them that passed this last week. They went out on their own terms. They are done. They are done. 55 years. I guess if you do something for 55 years, I think if they could physically, you could clearly see that Ozzy having to sit in that chair. He's got bad back, bad knees, I mean, he has lived a life. But the fact that he's still out there, still out there up to this point, and Ozzy's as old as my dad, but my dad didn't live that kind of hard life. So if you were to look at my dad and you look at Ozzy, you would think Ozzy was my dad's dad. That's how old he looks now. But they lived that life. They did those songs, and it was a big deal. It was a big deal to get into that concert. I envy anybody that was in the building when this went down. So congratulations to the entire cast, and may he rest in peace, Ronnie James Dio. Because if he were alive, he'd have been up there. He'd have been up there with him. So for those of you who are into heavy metal, or if you're in the alternative, or if you're in any type of heavy chord rock, I think you were influenced by Black Sabbath. I definitely was. All right. So the last topic of the day, and when I sit here in front of you next time on this show, it will have the era of me not having seen James Gunn Superman will be over with. AMC Town Square tomorrow. I am going to a special screening that I was invited to by our intermediates and at Warner Brothers, and we're going to be watching it. I will if I can. I'm going to make sure. I don't want to break any rules. I'm going to ask him. I sent an email. Can I get my out of theater review, or do I have to wait? I think I'm going to be able to. And if that's the case, as soon as I step out of AMC Town Squares, I'm going to give you guys a review and tell you how I feel. I'm going to be honest with you. If there's something about it I don't like, I'm going to say it. But if there are things about it I don't like, but it overall works, I'm going to say that too. Because tomorrow night doesn't need to be perfect. It needs to be good enough for me to want more, and good enough for them to see that there's still more to give out, because that strengthens everything. If this movie's good, it strengthens the hand of Lanterns, Paradise Lost, Wonder Woman, Supergirl. And like I said, this is the first time tomorrow night when I see this movie, it'll be the first DC movie ever to be done with a studio head. Can you fucking believe that? We've been watching these movies. We've been watching DC. I've been watching DC movies since the 80s. Since the 80s. This is the first movie I will see that is not just another Warner Brothers picture. And I think that's important. I think that's important for the quality. I think that's important for the longevity. And I think that's important to not have happen what happened from 2013 till now. So it's a new beginning. So like I said, this movie doesn't have to be perfect for me tomorrow. It has to be good enough. Good enough to where, you know what? I want to see more. Good enough to where I feel comfortable and safe with investing further time into this. And if it does those two things, it doesn't have to be Blade Runner 2049. All right? It doesn't have to be Spider-Man No Way Home. It doesn't have to be the greatest comic book movie I've ever seen. It's got to be good enough. If it does that, we'll be all right. Brad, what are being serious now? I know we've joked about, you giving it a fair shot, but that's all being facetious. Going into this movie, I guess you're going to be going to see it Tuesday.
Probably.
What-
Well, again, I'm not going to see it Tuesday. I'm not going to be able to make that one. So, yeah, I think I'm going to be able to see it Thursday. If not, I'll see it Friday night. But yeah, go ahead.
What are your expectations and hopes for this? What would be what would check off the marks in your inventory as far as like, okay, I'm coming back to this. This is something I can buy into.
And it can't involve restoring anything, I assume.
No, just this movie. Wait, listen, the opportunities for that will come.
I'm joking.
At some
Okay.
point. Yeah.
What would be like? What would I? That's it. That's kind of an interesting question because I mean, me being a Superman fan aside, it's like I mean, James Gunn I'm just not that enamored with like the Guardians franchise, so so it feels a little bit weird, like kind of what I would want to see him bring to this is just like in an auteur sense. I think probably I think it's kind of similar to what you were saying. Is like I want to know that there's that there's going to be enough here that they're going to continue traveling down this river, and it's not going to feel like, okay, I'm going to get the rug pulled out from under you again. So is what they're setting up is like, aside from like just like doing like some a compelling intro to this version of Superman on its own, what is this doing for the world it's in? Probably is the main thing I would most be interested in as far as is what I expect out of this is what kind of DC universe is this introducing me to, tone wise, other characters that are in it, what is this DC universe that the Superman inhabit? Does this feel like a DC universe I want to stick around in? And am I getting the impression I'm going to be able to stick around in it? And otherwise, yeah, does it point me in a direction where I feel like, I'm going to be able to continue following it, and I'm going to want to continue following it? Those are the main things I kind of, questions I would want to see answered in a really kind of satisfactory way coming out of it, seeing it this week.
Pretty much the same here. All right, but William, will they stay retired? Kiss said there. Yeah, but did you see Ozzy? Kiss can still move around. But dude, Ozzy looks like he's been a boxer more than he's been a singer. I mean, he couldn't stand. He sat for that concert. He's got, and he's up there. He's old, but he running across the stage. I mean, doing all kinds of stuff. I mean, he just keep that arthritis. He's got back. I mean, he's ran through it. But Kiss, Gene Simmons, Paul Stanley, all those guys, if you look, they're still mobile. They're not in any pain. And, they don't move around as fast as they did when they're 20s and 30s, but they're not, they're mobile. So yeah, I think it's a difference of, and then, like I said, those guys, when you physically can't tour anymore, it's, and you're a band like that, that's it. It's time to hang it up. Let's see. Hello, Rhea.
Hello, Rhea.
Yeah, Disturb was there. There's a couple other people.
Yeah.
Ozzy could not sing Dio's songs. It's kind of like the same thing with David Lee Roth. David Lee Roth, you would not see him singing Love Walks In. But Sammy could sing his song with Rain. So, yeah, it doesn't go both ways. What were you about to say?
I was going to ask, like, when is Rhea seeing it?
I think Rhea is singing on... Rhea, are you singing on Tuesday or Monday? You may be seeing it tomorrow. Yeah, he has Parkinson's. Yeah, that's. For those of you who don't know what Parkinson's is, think Muhammad Ali. It doesn't look like it's on set as much because Muhammad Ali had so bad he couldn't even speak. Ozzy was singing. Ozzy was actually singing. But it still would restrict his movie. I'm just hoping for a good film that doesn't go too far into the Silver Age, that kicks off this universe and has something to look forward to. I'm not a big fan. People were surprised with this. I'm not the biggest fan of the Silver Age. It was beyond me. I am a fan of the history that it represents, but as far as like I'm an 80s guy.
I think also it's like, I mean, when I started getting a little bit more casual with the MCU, it's the point when they started like really kind of leaning they started getting overly reliant on the comedy in it, where the comedy, which I mean that's been a staple of the MCU since it began, but it started to feel intrusive. It started to feel like they couldn't have like any like big flashbang moment that didn't have that didn't like plug in like some kind of like Tony Stark one liner or there was like a joke quota where it feels like in a lot of ways that's where the MCU has gotten to. And that's another hope I have with this. I mean, I'm talking about something I hope it's not going to do, but nonetheless, it's like I'm not opposed to at all to comic relief and superhero movies.
It just has to be placed right.
Yeah, but you can overdo anything. You can get overzealous or carried away with anything. And the Guardians movies. That's a big reason why I didn't get into those, because I just felt like they just really got overboard with the comedy, and so my hope with that is that what I was saying about like the robot dialogue. It's like that those robots. I think probably going into it, those are the thing I have the most consternation about as far as characters. Is those guys are probably going to annoy me. So I do hope that the comedy does not become overwhelming. I hope the comedy is placed and handled with a in a streamlined way where like it doesn't feel like it's undercutting like the stakes or the seriousness of it, is probably the best way to put it as far as like what I hope for of the comic relief out of it.
Yeah, Brian Johnson had a raspy range that allowed him to cover. If you listen to the high end of Bon Scott's voice, he had a more higher pitched twang to his voice, but Brian Johnson has that too, and it has a rasp to it, so where he could cover. And I think that's why that worked for them. That's why they were able to replace Bon Scott so soon, was because he could meet the notes that Bon Scott was. And then Back in Black is just something else, man. Back in Black is one of the greatest music albums ever made, and that was the AC/DC's first album after Bon had passed away, and they got that album done almost immediately because his voice fit with the music, and to this day, they changed their style a little bit more. The longer Brian Johnson was I was still with the band, he had more of a punch to his more of a pace to his vocals, and then you started to see them evolve in his direction. But yeah, he could definitely sing their songs. All right, 61 of you watching on a late Sunday night, early Monday morning now. We are now in July 7th. Holy cow. We're almost, like I said, it's 100 degrees out here, but we're moving along through this month. And like I said, a little bit over 3 weeks, it will not be 100 degrees for me. It will be 75 degrees. 80 will be a heat wave for that tomorrow. But once again, thank you guys for helping me to get to that, to support that. And
we did it all with the help of the world's greatest and technically only.
We actually not really, but we did it with Howard the Duck, a movie we won't even see yet until October. But yeah, I will promise to bring you the best coverage that within my abilities to bring you. I'm getting ready. I'm planning it out. I'm getting some equipment that'll make it. I mean, I'm not going to be doing this shit. The cat ears they're okay, but you really can't do that. I have a special mic that I will have that will allow me to roam San Diego and bring you coverage. I will have a different headset with me when I'm at my hotel or wherever it is, or when it comes to where I stream from. Like I said, I'm gonna scout. I'm going to scout out places where I can stream and just be there. I mean, I'll look for places where there are a bunch of people streaming, and I'll know that's where I need to be because nobody's going to be bothering anybody there. So, but yeah, that's what all this is for. And like I said, if you would like to continue to contribute, the link is right there. You can donate any amount; doesn't matter. Everything will help. Everything will help. The caffeine fund, transportation fund. Got your ass. So all of that helps. Whether it's $1 or $20, doesn't matter. So on that note, I think this is where, unless you guys got any questions, Just making it. All right, guys, that's it for tonight. Thank you for this special altered version to make up for last night's sort of boring version that actually lasted longer this one, but it wasn't the topical show that we usually have. You know what I mean when I make Saturday overnight. That show means a lot to me because it's like this is usually the weekend wrap up show.
Yeah.
Sunday night is just usually a loose, I'm at the house weekend wrap up type of situation. But you know what? Like I said, bear with me. Until the end of July, because we're gonna be. I'm gonna have to be flexible to be in certain places and do certain things. So some shows will air like they usually do. Some shows will be where I can do them. So have technology will travel. And on that note, I will see you guys. I definitely will see you tomorrow. Definitely see you in probably multiple capacities tomorrow. As soon as I get out of the theater, I will let you know if I'm able to. I will let you know how I feel about this movie, and we'll probably do a stream later on and talk about whatever I can talk about. We may even be on the air past midnight, so that technically I will. If there's any embargo,
Then it will happen after midnight.
I will be able to be on the air with you discussing what I think. Everything I tell you up until next weekend will be non-spoiler because I don't want to ruin this movie for you. So, all right, guys, that's it. Thank you everybody who was able to join us today for both good movies and bad. We streamed for
Flash
about
Gordon,
7,
come on,
8,
Flash Gordon. Don't talk that bad about Flash Gordon. It's not that bad.
Yeah, thanks for sticking with us through that trash introduction to the afternoon, and then all the way through Flash Gordon, and then to this stream tonight. I will definitely see you tomorrow. How much I can say is going to be up to Warner Brothers. See you guys later.
See you guys.